We already spent the money, Sabrina. Now you have to help conceal it. My mother threw a file marked retroactive gift affidavit down before me. She wasn't seeking consent to claim my father's $125,000 life insurance policy. She was insisting I assist her, hiding that she had already taken it. Jennifer's father demanded a forensic audit. She whispered, her voice strained with fear. If you don't confirm that money was a gift, Warren appears like a swindler and the wedding is canceled. Do this and maybe your brother can finally marry wealthy and drag you out from the gutter. I glanced at Warren, perspiring inside his tailored designer suit. I didn't shout. I merely lifted the pen and signed. They believed I was rescuing them. They didn't realize I was validating evidence for their eventual prison terms. You ever been pressured to hide a lie to protect a relative's reputation? Tell me your experience in the comments. My name is Sabrina, and I am 32 years old. In my profession as supply chain executive for an international food conglomerate, I coordinate disasters spanning continents, reroute fragile shipments through conflict zones and hurricanes. I handle intense stress, narrow margins, and vendors lying about deadlines. But 2 years earlier, when my father passed away, I wasn't executive. I was only a mourning daughter, drained and determined to hold my family together. That year, I discovered grief becomes perfect camouflage for embezzlement. While my brother Warren was too distraught to manage logistics, I requested leave to oversee everything myself. I spent my mornings debating hospice staff and my evenings poring over spreadsheets, attempting to balance my father's final care expenses with shrinking accounts. I survived on 4 restless hours, fueled by caffeine and obligation. It was during one sleepless night shortly after the funeral when my mother approached. She cried, clutching several crimson-stamped envelopes. "We're sinking, Sabrina," she sobbed uncontrollably. "Your father concealed liabilities, hospital invoices. If we fail to consolidate immediately, creditors seize the house. They'll claim every possession we have." She placed power of attorney paperwork. Before me, she explained she required authority to negotiate hospitals' safeguarding estate. I studied her tear-streaked face, the woman who raised me, and I didn't see danger. I saw a grieving widow needing support. So I signed. I surrendered complete authority over insurance proceeds and estate, convinced I was responsible. I was foolish. There were no outstanding medical balances. My father possessed comprehensive coverage. That hysteria, those tears, everything staged. Performance. Andrea seized that $125,000, funds my father clearly designated for launching my own company. And she didn't settle debts. She concealed it. She routed funds through dormant family trust account, obscuring immediate tax attention, disguising transfers as property upkeep expenses. Then she invested every dollar as deposit for a lavish downtown penthouse, but she avoided placing it under her name. She recorded deed under Warren's name. Because Warren required spotlight, he couldn't remain unemployed 28-year-old gaming enthusiast. He needed to become Warren innovative crypto visionary. He required address broadcasting achievement so he could pursue women like Jennifer, private equity heiress whose relatives controlled half the state. While I returned to office, driving decade-old sedan with rattling exhaust and occupying tiny studio apartment repaying personal student debt. Warren threw rooftop gatherings inside residence purchased using my inheritance funds. I recall visiting, once carrying groceries because Andrea claimed finances tight. I entered discovering Warren uncorking expensive vintage champagne, boasting with companions about effortless wealth creation through positive mindset. I stood clutching bag containing discount pasta and canned sauce, observing my brother enjoy lifestyle financed by my father's passing. They mocked my aging vehicle. They labeled me cautious and overly practical. They didn't realize while they role-played success, I began questioning inconsistent figures. They assumed truth buried beside my father. They overlooked that paper. Trails remain. It didn't conclude with stolen inheritance. That represented only initial investment. The true expense of deception is maintenance. And my mother, Andrea, never understood budgeting for fabricated luxury. 6 months after occupying, penthouse phone calls began. It never sounded like direct demands. They arrived disguised as urgent crises layered with guilt. Association fees increased. Sabrina, Andrea would murmur, voice tense over phone. If payment misses Friday's deadline, they'll place lien upon property. Remember, Jennifer visits for dinner next week. Imagine notice posted on entrance door. Would destroy everything arranged for your brother. Okay? We constructed nothing. I was constructing professional future. Okay? They were assembling fragile house of cards. Yet I transferred money. I covered $2,000 monthly maintenance assessments. I settled quarterly country club fees so Warren could imitate golfing alongside Jennifer's father. I financed lease for Warren's brand new Porsche because Andrea argued crypto visionary cannot operate Toyota. I continued driving decade-old sedan, displaying check engine light I couldn't repair because salary funded their elaborate fantasies. I ate ramen at my cubicle desk while they savored oysters beside the glittering marina docks. I convinced myself I was being devoted daughter. I insisted silently I was preserving fragile peace. Then arrived that fateful Tuesday that altered everything forever. I was seated inside the office break room, scrolling mindlessly through social media feeds when a post from my sister Beatrice suddenly appeared. It showed her reclining across white leather sectional inside the penthouse living room furnishings I financed. She cradled chilled rose glass, city skyline shimmering brilliantly behind her. The caption proudly declared, "Manifesting abundance truly pays off. So proud of life I've created." Hashtag self-made success. I stared silently at the glowing screen. Self-made, she hadn't earned $1 herself. She hadn't paid 1 cent toward mortgage, electricity, or the wine she sipped. She was 24, unemployed, comfortably existing within deception. I personally funded something deep inside me fractured. But it wasn't fiery, explosive fracture. It was cold. It sounded like heavy lock clicking firmly shut. I understood then I wasn't family. I was their personal venture capitalist underwriting fantasy, and this venture was collapsing. They mistook my quietness past year for obedience. They assumed I remained timid, mousy sister, willing to continue drafting checks, seeking their validation. They never grasped industry where I operate. In ruthless logistics, you don't shout watching competitor dangerously overextend. You observe, patiently. You allow them stretching credit lines until suffocation begins, then acquire assets for pennies. I studied that image and first time felt not wounded. I felt commanding strength. Andrea was asset-rich, yet liquidity-starved. She exhausted stolen insurance funds and depended entirely upon my transfers keeping electricity flowing. She was insolvent. I set my phone aside and completed coffee calmly. I didn't post bitter comment. I didn't phone Andrea yelling about injustice. I returned quietly to desk, opened blank spreadsheet, began typing methodically. I wasn't debating them further. Was auditing them thoroughly. I ceased answering incoming calls. I avoided blocking numbers yet. I needed witnessing desperation unfolding live. But every ring diverted voicemail. I stopped attending Sunday family dinners. I ignored group chat messages discussing engagement. Party vision. To them, I appeared sulking. To me, I entered silent phase preceding hostile takeover. I used remaining estate access from managing affairs to conduct forensic review of mother's accounts. It proved worse than anticipated. Andrea remained insolvent. She spent stolen insurance money covering down payment renovations. Now she issued floating checks, paying caterers' engagement celebration. She was terrified. Venue payment bounced, wedding collapsed, and her ambition marrying Warren into billionaire elite vanished. She required liquidity immediately. I didn't wait until she requested additional loan. I acted first strategically. I registered Shell Corporation Delaware titled Nemesis Holdings LLC. It cost several $100s, granting complete anonymity. On paper, it appeared faceless investment firm targeting distressed properties. In truth, it was me alone with laptops. I contacted commercial mortgage broker from supply chain dealings, man named Marcus, who valued commissions over curiosity. I provided precise directives. Approach Andrea, I instructed him. Inform her you represent private equity entity offering lucrative short-term financing. Propose $200,000 hard money, rapid funding, zero credit verification. Marcus placed call Tuesday morning promptly. I later reviewed recorded conversation. Relief echoed clearly within Andrea's trembling voice upon hearing amount. She never questioned why equity firm targeted residential condominium. She heard $200,000 and envisioned rescue rope, but I wasn't extending charity. I delivered contract infused with venom. Loan conditions severe, elevated interest, brief duration, yet fatal mechanism hidden fine print. Confession of judgment provision. Stipulated if she defaulted or falsified application, Nemesis could circumvent courts and confiscate collateral instantly. Collateral naturally remained penthouse condominium. Andrea hesitated, reviewing documents. Even she sensed jeopardizing condo dangerous. I required day reviewing terms. She informed Marcus cautiously. I must consult Warren. That signaled perfect instant releasing trap. I texted Marcus discreet signal. I am sorry, ma'am. Marcus responded, tone polished and composed. Nemesis currently has alternate borrower prepared, claiming funds within hour. This represents exclusive VIP accelerated arrangement. If you desire wire transfer finalized before dinner with Jennifer tonight, I require signature immediately now. The false urgency worked flawlessly. Andrea unraveled instantly. She couldn't endure facing Jennifer at dinner with rejected credit card embarrassment. She never phoned Warren. She never examined the clause. She seized the pen impulsively. The electronic packet reached my inbox 20 minutes afterward. I opened the PDF file, pulse pounding hard against ribs. Not from terror, but from predatory excitement. There it appeared. On page 4 clearly, the loan form requested origin of property equity. Andrea had selected personal savings and inheritance, legally affirming down payment funds were hers, not misappropriated. That constituted bank fraud. On page 9, weighted guarantor, section 4, Warren, lawful condominium owner. The signature stated Warren, yet handwriting curved frantic and distinctly Andrea's. That was forgery. I printed the paperwork and gripped it firmly. It felt substantial. Wasn't merely loan paperwork anymore. It was executed confession to federal offenses, notarized and time-stamped officially. She believed she'd obtained capital to dazzle billionaire's daughter. She failed, realizing she'd transferred deed of home and liberty to daughter she betrayed. Closing occurred at Sterling & Associates, title firm occupying 45th floor within city's most ostentatious glass spire. Conference rooms featured mahogany tables long enough for aircraft landing and views priced higher hourly than I once earned weekly. Perfect theater for catastrophe masked as victory. I arrived 20 minutes early. I wasn't dressed in typical field attire, denim and reflective vest. I wore acquisition armor instead, tailored black blazer, stilettos striking marble like gunfire, and timepiece costing more than Warren's car. I sat within lobby, legs crossed, waiting patiently. At 1:55 p.m., elevator doors glided open smoothly. They emerged resembling royalty touring provinces. Warren sported bespoke navy suit charged to emergency credit account. Beatrice followed behind, gripping designer handbag, speaking anxiously. Leading procession stood Andrea, wrapped in cream coat. appearing every bit empress of empire she never possessed. Yet most critical figure was woman beside them. It's Jennifer. She didn't resemble glowing bride-to-be. She appeared like private equity predator circling injured prey. She wore precise business attire, carrying leather portfolio eyes, surveying room with frigid calculation. Andrea had invited her witnessing family's supposed business brilliance, believing Nemesis transaction would validate Warren as formidable investor. She misunderstood completely. Jennifer hadn't arrived applauding. She came conducting due diligence. She had questioned Warren's crypto fortune for weeks, and today desired ink verification. Andrea spotted me initially. Her stride faltered, astonishment flashing before rage-hardened features. She advanced toward me, heels piercing carpet fibers. "What are you doing here?" she whispered sharply. "If you're here pleading or humiliating me before Jennifer, I'll summon security immediately." I remained seated calmly. "I'm not here to beg, Mother." "Then leave. This session remains private for investors. Return to your warehouse job." Warren and Jennifer approached closer. Beatrice forced brittle smile, dismissing me trivial. Jennifer ignored her entirely. She examined my watch, footwear, stance. "Sabrina," she stated evenly, "are you participating in this deal?" Andrea laughed abruptly. "Certainly not. She handles logistics operations." Grasping Warren's arm tightly, she steered toward conference doors, discarding me as always. I waited until doors sealed shut. Then I rose, straightened a blazer, lifted briefcase. "Actually," I murmured to vacant lobby, "I'm here attending closing." Inside, Andrea presented proposal while Warren perspired visibly. Jennifer reviewed documents unimpressed. "You claimed property owned free and clear. Why exists high-interest lien?" Warren faltered mid-sentence. "Sorry I'm late," I announced. Andrea whirled around. "Security?" Mr. Henderson glanced at file. "Andrea, this is Miss Sabrina, Managing Director representing Nemesis Holdings." The lender silenced suffocated chamber. I claimed seat opposite my mother deliberately. "Wealth isn't about attire." I spoke evenly. "It's about control," Andrea whispered. "Hoarsely, your nemesis, and you falsified application." I slid evidence toward Jennifer, demonstrating down payments sourced from stolen insurance proceeds, and Andrea forging Warren's name. "This isn't family enterprise," I continued steadily. "It's federal fraud." I gestured toward lobby area. "Authorities are waiting." Andrea's complexion drained gray. "I possess alternatives," I declared, placing deed forward. "Jail tonight or transfer condominium to me and leave unhindered." Jennifer fixed gaze upon Warren. "You stole from sister purchasing my engagement ring." She removed it, letting it clatter upon table surface. "I don't marry fraud," Andrea signed. 3 months later, I liquidated condominium, fortified my future, and severed contact completely. They insist I destroyed their existence. I maintain I reclaimed mine.